Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the host.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the back, it gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Beautiful sunny day here from the Hoboken Studios in New Jersey. Thanks for checking out the podcast, whether you're listening on iTunes or off the free CLNS Media app. Great to be with you today. I've got a great guest. Seth Davis is a college basketball studio analyst and reporter for CBS Sports. He's the managing editor of The Fieldhouse at The Athletic, the author of 2 New York Times best-selling books, and of course, an all-time great at Sports Illustrated. It's great to have him on today. Let me bring him in here. Seth Davis, welcome to Terrific Talk.
My pleasure. That was quite an introduction. I now officially fear I will be unable to live up to it.
Oh, no. You're going to be phenomenal today. The reason I've had you on is because you've had a very successful career, and I wanted to give my listeners a chance to hear your story, kind of learn how you've gotten to where you are. So, wanted to go back to the beginning. Where are you from? Where did your love of sports and writing come from?
I was born in a log cabin in the wilderness. No. I grew up a sports fan. A lot of it I owe to my dad. Took me to Redskins games. I grew up in the D.C. suburbs in Maryland. So, big sports fan and really enamored of journalism and writing. My father's influence. He's a big political guy and turned me on to the movie All the President's Men early on and kind of romanticized the art of journalism, the craft of journalism. And, I remember, as I got a little bit older, back then, this is going to sound like the Stone Age, of course, old guys like us remember, where you got your sports news from your local newscasters, so Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 9, NBC, ABC, and CBS. Saw those guys doing the sports, and it looked like it was a lot of fun. I'm sure they made good money, and felt like that was something I wanted to do, and never really had any distinction between writing and broadcasting. I thought of myself as a writer, and I wanted to be a broadcaster, and I just imagined that those were kind of the same thing. So in some ways, I think unwittingly, maybe I was a little bit ahead of my time. Now I'm a cliche. Funny how that happens, but I was a big sports fan, and I went to Duke and caught the college basketball bug there. I was in the same class as Christian Laettner, class of '92. So my 4 years at Duke, they went to 4 Final Fours, 3 final games, and they won it twice. So
not bad.
And I was all over the newspaper and the radio station, the TV station. So I really knew from a young age what I wanted to do. I think that was probably a competitive advantage for me. In some ways, I think it's still a competitive advantage for me. Having that vision, having that ambition, and then the dedication to see it through. So, and then of course, the number one most important thing in life is to be lucky, and that I've been in a whole host of ways. So I worked for the New Haven Register, mid-sized newspaper out of college covering high school sports. After a couple of years, I was hired at Sports Illustrated to be a fact checker. I had a great 22-year run at Sports Illustrated, which came to an end this past spring. And then along the way, kept pursuing the TV thing and, hooked on with CBS. And I'm now coming into my 15th NCAA tournament with CBS. So just really unbelievably lucky and blessed to be able to, do what I really enjoy doing.
You mentioned at the beginning here that your dad was a pretty big influence. Were your parents always supportive of, following your dreams to be a sports writer?
Oh, yeah, very much so. In fact, my dad's a lawyer, and, some people thought, you want to be a lawyer like Dad, and he never wanted me to be a lawyer. He wanted to do what I'm doing, especially from a writing perspective. I mean, I really love to read, and I love to write, and that's really been at the heart of my DNA. I think I've been able to leverage that and parlay that into a TV career. But I still, my DNA is as a writer, and that's, what I always really think of myself as being.
I've seen people before ask you what you like doing more, television or writing, and you always say TV's more fun, but writing is more gratifying. What do you exactly mean by that?
Well, writing's so much harder. And it's so much lonelier. Now, TV can be a grind in its own way because you're working long hours. You really have to keep your energy up. You have to stay on top of a lot of things at once, and everything's kind of a fire drill, which is actually when it's the most fun, when things kind of go haywire. Writing is harder. It takes longer, and it's not really fun till it's over. but when you put in that time and that effort, As I said, I love to read, and to me, there's nothing more pleasurable than to sit and read a book or a long magazine article that really teaches me something and moves me, and kind of gets me spellbound by the words and the poetry and the craft of the English language. So, but I'm lucky. Not only do I not have to choose between those two, but in today's day and age, you really can't choose one or the other. If you can't do both, then it's becoming more and more difficult to survive in the marketplace.
Yeah. So out of Duke, you go and work and cover high school sports for the New Haven Register in Connecticut, and then you got the break to go to Sports Illustrated as a fact checker, you said. How exactly did you get your foot in the door at Sports Illustrated?
Interesting story, actually, because, I had met someone. Well, I met a couple of different people who work for Sports Illustrated, but when I first learned about the position of fact-checking, I knew I wasn't good enough to be like a big-time writer at NSI, coming out of college or a couple of years out of college.
Yeah.
But I learned about the position of fact-checker as being kind of an entry-level editorial position. So, so I got in touch with someone who knew someone who was working as a fact-checker, and one thing that she said to me was, take a chance with your cover letter. And I did. I was working at this newspaper in Connecticut, and I kind of used the, again, antiquated computer. You print it out, and I literally pasted onto the page to create the newspaper. So I created a newspaper story that broke the news of my applying to Sports Illustrated, and that was my cover letter.
Nice.
And it was kind of witty and self-deprecating, and the byline on it was "Cove Our Letter." I actually dug through some files and found it and scanned it on my laptop. I've been meaning to, because I mentioned that in my farewell letter when I left Sports Illustrated, and people have asked me about that. I feel like I need, because it really, I did take a chance, but I got to say, I went back and read it and said, God, this is pretty good. It's funny. It's well written. It's informative. It's original. So obviously, if you're going to take a chance, then you're taking the chance and it blows up in your face. But in this case, the chief of reporters, Stephanie, really liked it. She called me and sent me on my way.
It's a cool story. So you've gotten to be around a lot of successful people in your job. You've had a lot of great success. What's the best piece of advice you can give young, aspiring sports writers and broadcasters out there?
Well, number one is read. Put down the video games, put down the screens, and read as much as you can. To me, I think that's a huge differentiator no matter what field you want to go into. And the more I learn about successful people, the more I learn how much of them are readers. You mentioned that I wrote the biography of John Wooden, really the definitive biography of John Wooden. And, of course, everybody knows about his pyramid of success. And, Wooden was kind of an engineer wannabe. Actually, he started off wanting to be an engineer, got sidetracked into going into education, becoming a teacher. So when he put together that pyramid of success, he did it as an engineer. So those two cornerstones in his pyramid of success are enthusiasm and industriousness. So to me, enthusiasm is hugely important, and then the willingness to work hard. So if you love what you do and you're willing to work hard and you read a lot to acquire as much knowledge as you can, and it just becomes a matter of the day-to-day grind, day-to-day persistence, hour by hour, day by day, over time, you get to be pretty good at your craft. The good news is there's no secret. The bad news is there's no secret. It's day by day, looking to improve, looking to get better, applying your enthusiasm and passion for what you do, and then just being willing to work real hard.
I know you came up with the idea for a digital platform just for college basketball a couple years ago, and you kind of had an opportunity here to maybe follow up on that idea. How did the whole Fieldhouse idea come about? Why did you decide to go work at The Athletic?
Well, we kind of found each other after I got laid off by Sports Illustrated. So, I had been looking into this for a couple of years. First of all, it was a grand ambition. And second of all, it was about survival, because I could see, how many people were getting laid off as writers, and I felt like it was really only going to be a matter of time before I got whacked by somebody. So, when I got laid off by Sports Illustrated, I kind of had the template and a blueprint and lots of people that I had been in contact with. And one of the folks that I had talked about developing this with is an investment group called the Chernin Group. And they had recently invested money in The Athletic. So when I went back to the Chernin guys and said, hey, I'm a free agent, what do you think? they hooked me up with Alex Madden of the Athletic, and it came together rather quickly. And he's got a great vision, and I think that the model that needs to be used, which is a paid subscriber model. People will pay for content if it's good enough and if the user experience is good enough, and that means no ads, no pop-ups, no autoplay videos that will annoy us when we're just trying to read a good story.
Yep.
So they've given me some toys to play with, a little bit of a budget, hired some writers. We're not even a month into this thing. It's been a bit of a challenge because the games don't start until November the 10th.
Right.
We launch on October the 2nd, but by the same token, that's given us a good 5 weeks to sort of work out our flow and our content flow and communication systems and figure out what we're doing before we really get busy with the game. So it's been a lot of work, but I got to tell you, it's been a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where this thing goes.
Definitely exciting. You mentioned reading. Can you have any book recommendations for listeners out there? You this is a great book. You should really check this out.
Well, I'm assuming we're talking about books that I haven't written. I can always recommend my own, but it's very cheap, so I'm not going to do that. I like nonfiction. I'm actually right now about midway through Doris Kearns Goodwin's book about Abraham Lincoln called Team of Rivals.
Nice.
Really one of the great books that I read. In fact, it was assigned to me during journalism class at Duke was Friday Night Lights. There's been a TV show. There's been a movie, but if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend going back and reading that by Buzz Bissinger. There's so many. The biography of Sandy Koufax is one of the best biographies that I've read. I like novels are fun, and I read novels from time to time. But like I say, be interested in the world and find people that you like to read about. Steve Jobs is another one, the biography by Walter Isaacson. So I'm obviously a big history biography guy, and that's what a large measure what made me want to write the book about John Wooden, because I feel like if you have a subject that's worth a full-scale biography, then there's really no more interesting thing to be reading about.
I'm with you. Last question here. This NBA rookie class is really special. These guys are making impacts right away. Who do you think is going to be the best rookie out of this class? Obviously hard to predict, but who do you like?
Well, it's easy right now, isn't it, with Ben Simmons?
Yeah.
And especially, I would have said Markelle Fultz, but he's having his issues right now. Was hurt last year, so he's a second-year pro, still has rookie status. But, he is kind of a futuristic player in that he's a pretty strong kid, 6'9", maybe 6'10". He's not a freak of an athlete, but he's a pretty good athlete. But his skill set for his position, he's a legitimate point forward. If he ever really develops that long-range shot, then you could be looking at an MVP. But as far as this rookie class goes, I think it's pretty safe bet right now. That certainly after the first week, it's really not close to who's rookie of the year.
No, Ben Simmons looks unbelievable. That Philly team's a lot of promise. Seth, this was great. Thanks so much for coming on today. Everybody check Seth out at The Athletic. Follow him on Twitter. His handle is @SethDavisHoops. Seth, thanks again. You were great.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.